Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have some brand new WE and Civivi knives that have just been released. We have the WE Knives Micro Trogon. I didn't get to check out the full-size version of this, but super cool little compact knife. We also have the Civivi Knives Krabby. This is a Ken Onion Jr. design and a pretty interesting one. Another compact folder. And sticking to that same theme, we have a limited edition Civivi Mini Praxis, and I gotta say this one really excited me. It's limited to 2014 pieces and they are serialized. Mine is 1040. But this video we're gonna be reviewing the Micro Trogon. All the new WE and Civivi knives that dropped today will be linked down below in the description. So the Micro Trogon is a Brian Brown design, and I like a lot of his stuff. I own the Jaeger, and I forget the other, is it the Exxon or whatever that he designed with Civivi. So being it's a micro, it's obviously going to be a compact knife, coming in at 6.52 inches overall, and it has a 2.68 inch compound ground modified spear point blade of Bowler M390 stainless steel. Got fullers on both sides. You got a small row of functional jimping. It does a great job of gripping the thumb, even though I prefer fine cut just because it's a little bit more comfortable. That one definitely does its job, but if you want to overshoot it, you can definitely do that as well. You do have a well-executed sharpening choil. You should be able to get about where my fingernail is before it'll think about widening on you. So I would say several sharpenings depending on how much you reprofile the knife if you do. And those thumb studs also stay out of your cutting path. You got a top swedge up here for some added flair. Your compound ground blade, the hollow ground portion right here, comes down decently thin to around 18 degrees per side. And then the flat ground portion thickens up to around 23 degrees per side. So as long as it's sharp, it should perform great. Let's find out. Knife came with a, I would call it decent edge out of box. Definitely not the sharpest knife I've gotten from WE so far, but good enough to do all this. I would have to take a guess. We'll see how it goes after this, but thanks to that hollow grind, that straight edge portion is slicing very well. And I'm gonna have to check and see what these edge bevels are set at and stuff, because it, like I said, it just doesn't feel as slicey. I did feel the edge; it felt pretty good. I probably should have stropped it, but I try to leave it the way it came. Now testing the ergos, and thanks to the little flat spot in the front of the scales, you can choke up close to that edge, so I can control it a lot better, get a lot more force into it. And for as small of a knife as it is, it's still pretty darn comfortable. And the real hot spots and that little micro milling really helped out for some extra grip. Now, when I get to sisal rope, it's like I said, sharp enough to get this done, but it wasn't the easiest. And once again, it wasn't the hardest. I'm just used to a lot of the WE knives that they send to me come hair popping sharp, but we'll get it done. And of course that flat ground portion is going to be a little thicker than the hollow ground portion. I haven't measured it yet, but I mean that's usually why they do it with the compound grind, so you can have a thicker portion for some added toughness, especially towards that tip. But like I said, it's getting the job done. I don't mind these, the way this one is. It's going to be versatile because, it's got that low tip. And I can use that bellied portion to the tip to do these cuts on a flat cutting surface. I know they call this a spear point. I call it a modified spear point. It's definitely Tanto-esque. But, yeah. So far so good. It's doing well. It's not. I'm not trying to down on the knife. But like I said, I'm just used to the WE knives just really performing great. But definitely getting everything done, just fine. You can get I'm doing pretty much all the rest of the stuff with that front portion, so the edge is holding up. But if I had to put a grade on this one, we'd give it a B+. Now, I thought it performed good. Not the best performance I've gotten out of a Wii, but, that's okay. I can always sharpen it up, and it's always going to perform better after you sharpen them anyway. So let's take a look at the deployment and action of this knife. So you have dual thumb studs, as you can see there, and you have those fullers. The thumb studs work great for the thumb flick. And you got, of course, a nice smooth action. It is riding on cage ceramic bearings with a ceramic detent ball. You can either reverse flick off the fuller, which is easy. And then if you want, you can also reverse flick with the thumb studs. But whenever I do it like this, I'm putting my pad of my finger underneath it to pop it out, because the detent is dialed more for the thumb flick. And that's why I like the fact that there's a fuller there that I can catch my fingernail rather easily to reverse flick it, if that's something you want to do. You can also slow roll it, but being that the detent is a little bit crispier on this one, I tend to grab it down here by the fuller to do a slow roll. One thing you do have to be cautious of, and it can be a little difficult, is to keep your fingers off the lock bar. I try to keep these two always on the pocket clip anytime I'm opening a knife. And then if I can, I'll put my other finger on top of that, or just kind of leave it a little bit loose. Because if you put your thumb on that lock bar, it is possibly going to lock you out. But I think we all know, I think we're all aware that Wii usually produces some of the best actions out there, and this one is no exception. Now let's touch on the ergos real quick. Like I said, you got a pretty compact knife here, and I can choke back if I'd like. It is kind of narrow, so that is going to, fatigue you rather quickly. And whenever you're back here, you're a decent ways away from that edge. However, they do have this nice flat spot. And whenever I was doing the wood shaving, I choked up right there because I like to get a lot of control there. And I find, being that you have that extra width, it fills out the hand a lot better. I could do it for a lot longer. It was a lot more comfortable that way. And nothing was really hurting me per se whenever I was doing that. I could kind of feel this jimping right here, especially this back portion whenever I'm choked up like that. It wasn't terrible, but it was noticeable. The contouring on these scales definitely help out. This pull grip is actually pretty comfortable, just like holding it in a hammer grip feels about the same. Now, this knife is definitely not meant to do a reverse gas station knife fight grip, but if you want to, you could, because this is rounded over. But I do have to choke up right there in the front. Not the safest thing in the world. Now, if I want to come right here, I could still get a good purchase and do a good, stab down if I needed to, do a feather stick or something, or get it into whatever you do that for. I don't really use that grip too often. Of course, for me, I think the pinch grip is where it's at. I can get down to that tip. This is a fairly versatile blade because you have that low tip. They're calling it a spear point. We call it modified spear point. It's definitely Tanto-esque. Like I said, even though this wasn't the best performer I've gotten, there's a couple of reasons for that, and we'll talk about that toward the end. Now let's close it up. Take a look at the handle area. So I have the flamed tie version, and hopefully you can see that very faint micro milling there. That feels great. Just listen. Yeah, it feels great and offers just that right amount of traction. Then you have these speed holes that have like a satin finish in there, nice little contrast. And then, like I said earlier, you have nice contouring on those scales. And Wii always does a fantastic job of knocking off any sharp areas, rounding over any of the corners. And this one, they did a great job on it as well. You have a titanium backspacer that also has the flame anodizing on it. And if flame anodizing isn't your thing, there's several different variants to choose from. It has a 3D milled titanium pocket clip. However, once again, there's no lefty love. Not sure why they didn't do that. I don't know if there's lefty versions or not. I don't think I saw any, but I could be wrong. All your hardware is Torx T8, even your pocket clip. Excellent job. It's also nice to see that even the thumb stud has a Torx T8. And your hardened stainless steel lock insert. The centering is right down the middle. Now this is a compact knife. and you have the milling on the external and on the contouring. Plus they have tons, look at all that weight relieving in there. Plus you have those speed holes helping to bring down the weight on this one, and it brings it down to 2.89 ounces. I hardly noticed this one was in my pocket. Your lockup is sitting around 40%, I would say. You do have a hardened stainless steel lock insert there, and it also acts as an over travel. There's a little tab right there so you don't overspring your lock bar in that direction. Access to the lock bar, it's good. This comes down a little bit lower, plus you have this little chamfer right here to soften that edge, and you have that little bit of texture. I find it to be very comfortable and very easy to get my thumb in there. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. And the lockup on this one, yeah. Do I need to say it? It's a bank vault. No movement up or down, left or right. Exactly what I want to see. Now time for some quick size comparisons. As you can see, it's a compact knife. It's smaller than both the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. It's also smaller than the Wii Mini Malice and the Wii Tyro. It's a little smaller than the Wii Knives High Fan, and it's just about identical in length to the Wii Thug. And lastly, it's a little bit smaller than a Benchmade Mini Griptilian, and it's just a hair longer than the Knives Lander. Now, being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? Right off the rip, there's no lefty love shown here. That's unfortunate. I would have preferred fine cut jimping. I just find it to be a little bit more comfortable. And I think the biggest thing for me, after I did the testing, like I said, it just wasn't performing like I'm used to with a lot of the Wii knives. So I was going to sharpen it up. I decided to wait till after the review completely. I usually do it after the testing, but I checked the edge bevel on this, and it's rather thick. This straight edge portion, it's about 28 degrees per side on my particular knife. Now, that may not be the same on all of them, but to me, that's way too obtuse. So after I finish this review, I'm probably going to drop it. I don't want it to have a huge, as you can see there, it's not a huge bevel right now, and I don't want it to be a mile wide. So I'll probably drop it to about 20 degrees per side. Then that should make it perform next level. But other than that, I think it's a very cool looking knife. If you like compact knives, you'll love this one. It's of course a very, very well made knife. Like I said, I like a lot of Brian Brown's designs. I find them to be aesthetically pleasing. And now it makes me want to go buy the bigger version of this. I'm sure it's long been sold out, but definitely a cool knife nonetheless. So this version right here comes in at $259. That's no surprise there. I know, it's going to be out of a lot of people's price ranges, or what they want to spend, or they don't think it's worth that. I get it. So that's definitely going to have to be your decision. If nothing I talked about was a deal breaker, it's definitely a well-made knife. I don't think you'll be disappointed in the least. Like I said, as long as you're looking for a compact knife. It's not huge by any means. My medium-sized hands, when I'm choked up, I get a nice comfortable 4-finger grip. I can even choke back and cram 4 fingers on there, but it is a lot more comfortable to come up right there, for me at least. So like I said, if you are interested and you want to help support the channel, I will have it linked down below in the description, along with all the other new releases from Wii, Civivi, and Syncut. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep those blades sharp, smile more. Peace!